An enchanted musical instrument sprouted from a sentient tree, celebrating the fellowship of the party members, strengthening their bond and bringing a special kind of liveliness within the allies who can hear its drumbeat. How does that sound for a magic item? Hello there, it's me again, back with another Photoshop illustration tutorial or a speed painting process, whatever I want to call it. The Nomyn drum is the third among the setting-specific items for my upcoming D&D and Pathfinder supplement, the Nomyn Emporium. As you may have already guessed, we had to think about our favorite tabletop RPG rascals, the Bards themselves. The Bards. It's not a Bard exclusive item, but they will definitely benefit the most from it. If you want to check out the previous item's illustration process, just follow the link on the card in the upper right corner. Let me just remind you to like this video, hit that subscribe button if you like this type of content, and click on that bell icon to turn on all the notifications. It helps the channel grow by letting the YouTube algorithm know that the video is worthwhile watching, so it will keep recommending it to the people who are interested in it, such as yourself. If you did that, you rock. Seriously, I mean it. Here, take this old school hard rockin' arm illustration. Before we continue with the more in-depth explanation of the illustration process, let me tell you a bit more about the Nomyn Emporium. Even though the original idea was mine, I can't claim the whole thing for myself, especially because it's a collaborative endeavor with a few friends, one of which you might know from YouTube, Chris, aka The Kind GM. As I said in one of the previous videos, it's a dark fairy tale-like setting with a bunch of goodies to enhance your gaming table experience when it comes to D&D and Pathfinder. We have created about 200 items. There will be a handful of NPCs, the residents of the Nomyn Emporium, two of which will be a completely new race that we just might include in the final book as playable races. And finally some physical goodies such as maps, tokens, and perhaps special coins for the most enthusiastic of you. Most importantly, a vast majority, if not all of the assets that I've mentioned will be illustrated in full color. Just keep track of the content on this channel and all will be revealed in due time. Now down to the illustration part of this video. By this point I have already established that all of these setting specific items will have this twisted tree design language. So in the upcoming videos you'll realize that the rest of the items derived from the Nomyn tree will have the same sort of feel to them. As you have seen, I used a previously drawn sketch to trace the outlines in Photoshop. To create the head of the drum, I constructed it from two ellipses that I connected with a single brush stroke and rotated them to fit the sketch, and I used a similar technique with the ellipses to outline the hole in the bottom. I created the shape of the drum by selecting the outlines and snapped two separate clipping masks to it, one for the body and one for the head of the drum. After applying the local values, I created more clipping masks to create shadows and highlights. For the body, I used the same tree texture that I used on the previous two items, and for the head, I took a snapshot of my old leather coat and used it to give some liveliness to the membrane. And finally, this is where you can see that my inspiration took me elsewhere. Yes, I did sketch the item prior to getting it in Photoshop, but the creation process can be never-ending. Instead of making a standard drum head, I had the idea to experiment a bit and make it seem like the leather membrane is actually growing out of the body. It looked way too cool. I was happy that I took this different approach. That being said, don't be afraid to experiment. Even though you might be on a tight schedule sometimes, if you experience a stroke of inspiration, go for it. Make a copy of your illustration and try out some more ideas. Don't get too carried away though. Of course, you can always add more detail. The trick is knowing when to stop. A lot of the items you'll have the chance to see in my upcoming videos will not be their final versions. I just might add something to them for the rendering that will end up in the book. But I'm definitely not gonna dwell on mistakes and think about what I could have done differently. Rather, learn from this experience, hone my skills, and improve as an artist and as a person, so I can create higher quality products in the future. If you need any sort of advice or you have a question, leave a comment below the video and I'll be happy to help you out. And I believe we're done here. Thank you for letting me keep you company for a few minutes today. I hope you learned something new and stole a few tricks from me. If so, make sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel and turn on all the notifications. If you think this type of content might be interesting to someone you know, by all means feel free to share it with them. If you want some free D&D and Pathfinder supplements, make sure to hop over to my website's download section and claim your digital copy of the critical chart and fumble table. You'll find it in the description below the video, along with the links to my social media if you want to interact with me personally. And there's also my Artstation portfolio if you'd like to follow me there. Until next time, this is Crafty and I bid you farewell.